Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Calls for the sacking of the National Security Minister in Trinidad and Tobago rejected. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, April 12. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is dismissing calls to sack his National Security Minister Edmund Dillon over the increasing murder rate. So far, 142 people have been killed in the Twin Island Republic this year. Last year, the total number of murders was 462. Rowley told a local TV program that his administration will be working within the law to try to solve the crime situation.
It's not the question of the Minister of National Security. The issue is the performance of the overall response of the nation to crime. Crime is a national problem. I'm not satisfied with anything in the area of crime management and crime detection and, suppression and so on. I'm not satisfied with any area because that is an intractable problem which has been with us for some time, and what is required is a sustained response with the expectation that there would be successes in those areas. So the whole question of the ministry being the policy-making and executing body, the agencies, the police, defense force, the officers within the departments themselves, all of those are components there. And unfortunately, I can point to no area in the crime-fighting initiative that I'm satisfied with.
There are increasing calls for Suriname's President Desi Bouterse to step down as residents protest an increase in fuel prices. On Monday, protesters attempted to enter the tax department, but they were blocked by police, security and military officers. Residents complained that they can no longer meet their regular expenses based on their existing salaries, and they are demanding Bouterse's resignation if the increase in fuel prices is not reversed and if government does not change its policy. Last weekend, Bouterse met with several disgruntled members of his NDP party who have openly criticized his policy during the demonstrations. The protests have been organized by the trade union movement, but they have received support from the private sector. Union leaders have since suspended the demonstrations to allow citizens to participate in Holy Week and Easter activities. The government in Paramaribo has had to enter into an agreement with the International Monetary Fund after it suffered a decline in revenue due to a fall in prices of the country's most important commodities, gold and oil. The United Nations envoy in Haiti, Sandra Honoré, says recent political advances have set the stage to address pressing challenges in that country. Honoré pointed to improvements in the political situation, including the recent elections, as well as opportunities to address long-standing disputes. And she urged the international community to continue its partnership with Port-au-Prince and its people to help consolidate those gains. In her briefing, Honoré also added that security remains largely stable, and she said while the police force continues to show increased capacity in planning and executing complex operations, there is still need for further development, including the areas of internal management and oversight. The new Haitian ambassador to the Bahamas is seeking to dispel the negative views of his countrymen in Nassau. And Jean-Victor Jeunesse says there is more work to be done to improve relations between the two countries. He also is encouraging Haitians living in Nassau to invest in the development of their country. We get more from ZNS Network News.
Many Bahamians believe that most Haitians come here illegally by boat. Last year, more than 7,000 illegal immigrants were apprehended and almost 7,000 Haitians were repatriated. The Haitian ambassador, His Excellency Jean-Victor Jeunesse, acknowledges that tens of thousands of Haitians live in the Bahamas.
They contribute to the Bahamian society and economy. And unfortunately, we still have people thinking or considering Haitians like invaders. I think it is quite the opposite.
Many Haitians make the successful transition to live out their dreams in the Bahamas, but the ambassador got to see firsthand how hundreds now live in shanty towns, perhaps not much different than the life they escaped.
What I've seen in this shanty town indicate the level of poverty of these people. Sometimes one person is supporting the entire family, and it is very difficult for them to live decently.
The career diplomat noted that after the United States and the Dominican Republic, the third largest concentration of the Haitian diaspora lives in the Bahamas, and their remittances amounts to billions of dollars to take care of their families there.
Globally, Haitians overseas send more than $2.2 billion of dollars every year to Haiti. It is a very sizable contribution to the economy. But we have to work hard to find out how to invest this in the economy. Because most of the money sent to Haiti is for consumption.
And with the new government, Haiti is inviting foreigners, in particular Bahamians of Haitian descent, to invest in Haiti.
Still in the Bahamas, the Opposition Free National Movement, the FNM, says they are looking forward to next month's vote. Prime Minister Perry Christie announced the May 10 election date on Tuesday. FNM leader Hubert Minnis told party supporters later in the day that it will be an opportunity to bring change.
This election is a referendum on the past versus the future. Corruption versus transparency. Politicians interested in keeping their jobs rather than working on behalf of the Bahamian people. The most egregious acts of this PLP government is hiding the report on the Rubis oil spill and its effect on the residents of Marathon and neighboring communities. And that is unforgivable. Change will come.
Barbados has become the first CARICOM country to develop a draft gender equality protocol for magistrates and judges. It was undertaken by the Judicial Reform and Institutional Strengthening Project in collaboration with UN Women Multi-Country Office and the Caribbean Association of Judicial Officers. The document is the first of its kind within CARICOM and will support the judiciary in using gender analysis to ensure that both women and men have equal access to justice.
These draft gender equality protocols will now be reviewed, circulated, and ultimately finalized by or before the end of September 2017. This is the undertaking of the local implementation committee, and that has been established in Barbados and works closely with the Juris Project.
Justice Adrian Saunders of the Caribbean Court of Justice welcomed the documents, saying gender biases contribute to one of the most insidious forms of partiality in the judicial system.
If we say that gender stereotypes are unconsciously held, if they're not the product of a deliberate intention to discriminate, how can we as judges avoid falling prey to them? And this is where the establishment of a document like this draft protocol is so important, because the document provides an easy reference point for judges and magistrates to be guided on the standards and the approaches that are expected of us when we deal with issues that are gender sensitive.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, the UN appointed Guyana-Venezuela border controversy mediator to visit Guyana. Stay with us. More news after this break.
Imagine experiencing your jazz and Easter vacation at Rovenel's Resort and Conference Center. Stay and enjoy one of Tobago's most festive times with us. Choose out of 2 packages for a 4-night stay, executive or deluxe rooms, with 1 night free in our standard and self-catered rooms. Packages include free breakfast and shuttle service to and from popular beaches. For reservations, call 1-868-639-9666.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
The most anticipated musical experience returns. Join us throughout beautiful Tobago as we celebrate the universal language with performances by Grammy Award winner D'Angelo, legendary singer Grace Jones, Shabba Ranks, Morgan Heritage, Ellen Trotman Hess the Band, and many more. The 2017 Tobago Jazz Experience, April 22nd to 30th.
The United Nations appointed good officer mediating the border controversy between Guyana and Venezuela is scheduled to visit Guyana next week for the first round of talks. Norwegian Dag Havlov will meet with representatives of both countries to discuss a possible solution. If no resolution can be reached by year-end, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres will refer the matter to the International Court of Justice. That is, unless Georgetown and Caracas jointly request that he does not take that step. Roydon James of HGP Nightly News tells us more.
Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, in February, appointed Norwegian Dag Halvor Nylander to help broker a settlement by the end of 2017 between Guyana and Venezuela with a strengthened mandate of mediation. Foreign Minister Carl Greenidge says the United Nations appointed envoy is scheduled to visit Guyana soon.
For purposes of holding discussions in keeping with the mandate given to him in turn by the UN Secretary General. And that is part of the exercise in which
Mr. Nylander was appointed under the aegis of the Geneva Agreement, and the United Nations Secretary General was mandated to choose an option for the resolution of the contention by Venezuela that the 1899 agreement is null and void.
He is to have discussions with Venezuela and the government of Guyana with a view to seeing how far they can move in relation to the resolution of the controversy.
The Nicolas Maduro-led nation has laid claim to waters of the Essequibo, a territory that borders Venezuela and encompasses more than half of Guyana. If no progress is made toward a settlement by the end of 2017, then what?
Of course, the matter is to be referred to the court the ICJ by the end of 2017. It's in that context that he's visiting.
It was only 3 weeks ago the Energy and Petroleum Commission in Venezuela rejected the oil operations in Guyana's Essequibo region. The Venezuelan Parliamentary Commission also wants the United Nations official to immediately suspend all operations carried out within the maritime area corresponding to the territory in claim until the dispute is resolved. A Venezuelan newspaper is reporting.
The Jamaica government has announced a reduction in property tax rates following a public outcry. Speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, Finance Minister Audley Shaw said the government has listened to the concerns that the additional taxes were too much over a short period in time. TVJ's Andrea Krishlom has the details.
Since the new property tax regime was announced on March 9, almost every sector was speaking out in protest. A little over a month later, a victory of sorts. It's still based on valuations done in 2013, but the rates have fallen.
We have introduced a progressive tax regime with 8 bands ranging from a low of 0.5% to a high of 0.9%. We have retained the flat $1,000 tax on all properties valued up to $400,000. This will benefit 110,303 persons.
So if a property values $1 million, for example, the property tax rate will only apply to $600,000 of the amount. The first $400,000 will be subject to the flat tax. So how does the property tax regime announced during the budget compare to this latest announcement?
With the new rates, the average increase in taxes for residential properties will now be 10% compared with the taxes last year instead of the 60% as was announced before. For commercial properties, the average increase will be 58% compared with taxes last year, down from the 137% increase, average increase that we had announced at the time of the budget.
For agriculture, the average increase is now 40%. But that was not enough for the opposition.
The taxes we are suffering now are born in sin and shapen in iniquity.
Property taxes, Mr. Speaker, have nothing to do with the 1.5 million threshold.
Audley Shaw argued that the government was being honest by implementing the new valuations, something the PNP administration failed to do.
It would have been unfair and burdensome and oppressive, which is why we did not implement it.
Parliament therefore passed a law indemnifying the government against liability arising from property taxes that were collected from 2013. In the meantime, Peter Bunting, who was selected to speak for the opposition, called for public education and consultation on the new property tax regime. He also wants Parliament's Committee on Taxation to make an assessment.
At the end of the day, this Parliament should be presented with documentation that would give members a solid understanding of the economic consequences and the real burden of this taxation on different social and economic groups. And Mr. Speaker, those reports must be given to us before we vote on the new taxes.
But since the government had the majority in the House, the new property tax rates were passed, retroactive to April 1.
Stay with us. Sport is next.
At the 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week, not a sailor, not a problem. Chase the race from the best beach locations and party in the ocean. On our beaches, a different one each day. Take a drink, take another. Hula, play, dance in the sand. Dance to reggae, to soca, to the beat of your own drum under the moonlight. 7 beach days and party nights. Come play at the 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week,
April 29th to May 7th, 2017.
Are you up for the challenge?
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
Fast bowler Jerome Taylor has made an abrupt about turn and came out of retirement from Test cricket only 10 months after quitting the longest format. The West Indies Cricket Board said Wednesday the 32-year-old Taylor had indicated that he was again available for selection after stepping aside from Tests last July. Having played 3 first-class matches for his native Jamaica Scorpions in recent weeks, Taylor could now find himself in contention for a Test spot in the upcoming 3-match series against Pakistan. Taylor had abruptly called time on his Test career ahead of the 4-Test series against India last year, but remained available for selection in the shorter formats. He subsequently turned out for the Windies in the 3-match T20 series against Pakistan in the United Arab Emirates last year, when the Caribbean side suffered an embarrassing whitewash. Taylor was among the leading wicket takers in the regional Super 50 earlier this year with 16 scalps, including a superb 5-wicket haul against Guyana Jaguars at Kensington Oval. Jason Mohabed's form in the just concluded 3-match series against Pakistan has seen him vault up the International Cricket Council one-day batting rankings. In the latest ratings announced by cricket's world governing body on Wednesday, the 30-year-old Mohamed had jumped a whooping 86 places to a career-best 93rd spot. He struck a brilliant career-best unbeaten 91 in the opening ODI as West Indies chased down over 300 for the first time in their history. Meanwhile, Hope, who made his ODI debut last November, now has a 100.5 century in 10 appearances. There was also positive movement for left-hander Kieran Powell, who jumped 11 spots to 99th, and for captain Jason Holder, who climbed 7 places to 82nd. Both players gathered a half-century each during the series. In the bowling department, the Windies pair of off-spinner Ashley Nurse and fast bowler Shannon Gabriel also managed to make healthy moves up the rankings. Nurse led the Caribbean side's attack with 6 wickets at 25 apiece to climb 26 places to 62nd, while Gabriel, who finished with 4 wickets, jumped to 29. He jumped 29 spots to 73rd. One CARICOM leader is repeating calls for the West Indies Cricket Board to declare their hand on who is the real owner of West Indies cricket. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley believes that the regional game has been hijacked by persons who do not have the best interest of regional cricket at heart. It's not the first time that TNT leader has called out the board, who has, in the recent past, been caught in a war of words with regional leaders concerning the state of the game. Back in 2015, Rowley said regional cricket has been badly hampered by a lack of management. But in a recent interview in Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Rowley said that unless the West Indies Cricket Board comes clean, regional cricket will continue to suffer.
Caribbean cricket has been hijacked by a small clique of people who are hell-bent on destroying Caribbean cricket. And it is my position that unless the question is answered as to who owns that asset, we're spinning top in mud.
Are you still a cricket
fan?
fan?
In Pakistan and in Australia, that question has been answered and new arrangements were put in place and they rebuilt their team on the new arrangements. We are being told in the West Indies, and I was told to my face, along with my colleague from Prime Minister Grenada, that you all have no say in this. This is West Indies Cricket Inc. West Indies Cricket Incorporated. And it is their shareholders that they have to please. I don't know who the shareholders are. But what I do know, unless there are drastic changes to the current arrangements, West Indies cricket will never get back to where we expect it to be.
Staying with cricket, Guyana Jaguars are now the heavy favourites to win a hat-trick of titles in the Regional 4-Day Championship after maintaining their lead at the top of the standings despite sitting out the 9th round of matches. The two-time defending champions have remained 4 points ahead of closest challenger Barbados Pride, who suffered a stunning 130-run defeat to perennial arch rivals Trinidad and Tobago Red Force inside 3 days at Kensington Oval last weekend. Jaguars are 109 109.8 points, with Pride still second on 105.2. Jaguars' 9th round fixture against Leeward Islands Hurricanes had to be rescheduled from last weekend to accommodate the 3-match one-day series between West Indies and Pakistan in Georgetown. The game will now be played from April 21 to 24 at the Guyana National Stadium following the completion of the final round of games next weekend. Jamaica Scorpions, meanwhile, saw their title chances slip in the last round when they produced a limp performance against Volcanoes to lose by 8 wickets in Kingstown. They lie third on 98.6 points with a difficult assignment against Pride in the final round. Red Force, who started the last round last in the standings, revived themselves with a resounding victory over Pride, and they are now 5th on 82 points. They clash with Hurricanes at Warner Park, with their opponents now last on 66.4 points. Over to athletics. Former Olympic 400 champion and homeboy Kirani James did not disappoint in the inaugural Grenada Invitational held over the weekend at the stadium that bears his name. James stopped the clock in a time of 45.44 seconds to finish first in the 400-meter men's sprint ahead of Great Britain's Martin Rooney, who was trailing behind in 46.35 seconds, and Javon Francis of Jamaica. He clocked 46.45 seconds for the bronze. Other notable winners at the event included former 100 Olympic champion Sasafa Powell, who got gold in a time of 10.18 seconds. Meanwhile, American LaShawn Merritt was also in winner's row at the meet. He ran in the men's 200-meter, crossing the finish line in 20.42 seconds. And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
Picture this. Get away to one of the world's most beautiful islands to experience the Digicel Barbados Reggae Festival 2017. 4 of the biggest reggae events. April 23rd to April 30th. Featuring the biggest names in reggae. Popcaan, Spragga Benz, Sanchez, Marcia Griffiths, Capleton, Conscience, Ventures, Flower Gun, Glen Washington, Coco T, and many more. Purchase your event tickets from ticketpal.com. For more details, follow Barbados Reggae Festival on Facebook or Instagram. Barbados, always on.
Again, the major developments of this day. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley admits that a lot more needs to be done to fight crime. And in sport, Jerome Taylor comes out of retirement from Test cricket. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.